All right, human beings of the internet, we are back with some more MisprintCon. We're streaming live from Columbus, Ohio. We are at Comic Town Game Center here, and they are allowing us to host this event here. We have a pretty interesting video coming up here. We have Tavis King and Ryan Rooks are going to be playing some games with two test print playtest decks. So we have a blue playtest deck, which is Ice Age, and then a pink playtest deck, which is Menagerie, which I think eventually became Mirage.
Correct.
But Menagerie technically is an unreleased Magic set.
Yeah, and the cool thing about these decks is like they are actually completely intact. They are as they would be from the people who were originally playtesting. The only difference is Tavis took out one card from each. So those are decks as people who were playtesting those sets would have been playing Magic. So you're seeing essentially it's like a reenactment of history. It's really wild. These decks are incredible. Not in power level, but just a sight to behold. So anyway, enjoy. This is going to be really cool.
Yeah, this is definitely a piece of Magic history, and we're just waiting for Ryan to get back. So let me do a little shout out here. Thank you so much to Jason Gitlin, who you guys just heard talking on stream. He has been a tremendous help to me and a tremendous help to the rest of us. He and I have been coordinating your video and audio coverage for the weekend. He's brought in a large amount of streaming equipment. I brought in a bunch of streaming equipment, and that's how we've been able to bring you this live. Jason is going to be taking the video and audio that we've created, and he's going to convert that into YouTube videos for you guys who couldn't be here or maybe missed some stuff because you had work or a family obligation or you had to leave, as well as for the people who are in attendance who didn't have an opportunity to watch a panel or to watch some of the feature match. The feature matches that have taken place. We had Play as Written, we've had EDH. And so we're just working on getting these guys into place. Also, a huge thank you to Morgan Probst, who, if you're active in the Misprints community at all, you're familiar with him. He's a super great guy. He really put a lot of work into this, and this is a labor of love for him. He had trophies made. He coordinated prize product. Also, a huge shout out to everybody that came and everybody that's been watching the stream and interacting with us all weekend. That stuff is super cool, and it makes it feel worth it. When you're creating content and people are watching and interacting with you. All right, so it looks like Ryan is back, and so we're going to get ready to start off these playtest deck games. Again, the blue playtest cards are Ice Age, and the pink are from the unreleased set Menagerie, which ended up being Mirage.
Maybe.
Can you hear us?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Yeah.
All right, so the audio is going to be brought to you by the players. They're going to be talking
we've already
about the
shuffled.
misprint
Yes,
decks we're
my
playing.
top.
Yep.
And they had already shuffled and started. We're getting ready to start a game when we.
So
when
I'm
I grab
playing
them
with
and
the
move them
playtest
around.
Ice Age deck.
And I'm playing with the Playtest Menagerie deck, which was later renamed Mirage, in case you don't know.
Yes.
I know you know.
Now, are all of these the baby blue version?
Yes. And here's mine. Mine are all pink. And these don't have Menagerie written on the back, so they're the first generation.
I was about to ask.
Yeah. Not the first generation
All right.
of Menagerie ever, just the first pink.
So I believe you're on the go and I'm on the draw, if I recall.
Still good? All right. Yeah, that's correct. So let's see here.
Now, to be clear, neither of these decks is designed with the alpha playtesting casting costs, right?
Correct.
So
They have typical casting costs like most people are used to seeing.
I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Yep. And I have a pretty good opening hand here. I should probably also mention that these are basically as the playtester received them. There hasn't been a lot of trading or anything going on, so this is similar to playing sealed deck.
And they were already assembled as these decks.
Yeah, this is whoever created the playtest cards. They randomized them into these 60 card piles to give out to the playtesters. So, however they chose to randomize them, I'm not sure exactly what their mathematical formula was or shuffling strategy, but
Okay.
so this is as the playtesters would have received them. If they played them without trading, that would be like this.
All right. I'm ready when you are.
Let's see. I'm going to play. Boy, this is a really good opening hand. Plains.
I see what you mean.
Your turn.
Thank you, sir. Aha. Forest.
Ooh.
You may go.
Forest. Your turn.
Plains. You may go. I've got a mirror match going here.
Yeah. Okay. Where is it? Here we go. Swamp.
Intimidating.
I have something I can play. Cherub.
Flies. What +1/+1 for duration of turn if engaged in combat with a black creature.
A very powerful card. Your turn.
Very. All right. I think I'm going to have to play an Islands.
Okay. Even though it only makes 1 mana.
You know, the Duelist had a joke about that, where they said that Island was banned, but there was a rare Islands card that could still be played.
Origin of the story.
That's what it just occurred to me.
Yep.
That's delightful. All right. I think I'm going to have to play an Arctic Foxes. Let me rearrange slightly. That is 1/1 Forest Walk.
I have forests, so
You may go, sir. So I plan to walk on you.
yeah. Islands.
Did we think to get life counters?
I have some. I mean,
Works for me.
so
I feel like it may become relevant soon.
yeah. Tap everything for a genie.
Oh, goodness. Summon Wizard. Flies can tap to make a humanoid or animal fly for the duration of the turn.
My humanoid already has flying, so I'm going to attack you with my flying cherub humanoid.
I'm at 19.
Your turn.
Thank you, sir. Going to play a mountain. Drat, that was suboptimal. Such is life.
Yep.
And I am going to play a Yavimaya Net. Flies, green to regenerate, hot one. And then I am going to attack you for 1.
Take it because it has forest walls.
Haha. The game is tied, sir.
Yeah.
Sort of. You may go.
There are still 2 items left. There are 2 Okay. So one of the things that we need to do is your backpack. When you go to
Damnation. But not the one everyone knows.
I can't quite see under the foil. Is that
Yeah.
3 life?
3 life, yep.
All right.
Opponent loses 3 life.
That puts me at 16.
All right. And I will swing with both of these flying creatures.
13.
All right. Your turn.
I really hope that Ice Age pulls through because it's one of my favorite sets. All right. I am going to play a forest. Tricky. And I think I'm going to have to play a Unicorn of the Adarkar Wastes. 2/2. I may tap it during my upkeep to reduce the upkeep of an illusion by up to 2 colorless mana.
Okay.
Do you know if that's relevant in this deck?
It is. Yep.
I may have already known that.
Illusionary upkeep later became known as cumulative upkeep. So if you see illusionary upkeep, that's cumulative upkeep.
Thank you.
I think illusionary is a way better name. It makes more sense. So the item would stay in play temporarily until the illusion faded away.
Although it is cumulative, so
Yeah.
I guess that also makes sense.
Yeah.
Illusionary is more flavorful.
Yeah.
But wait, there's more. I shall attack you with my Arctic Foxes.
I'll take it.
All right, you are at 18 and I am at 13.
Done?
I am done, sir.
Power word freeze.
Creature permanently tapped. Enchantment requires a blue upkeep paid during creature controller's upkeep phase. Blast. Double blast. All right, he is permanently tapped unless I play Ubel. Oh, no, you have to pay it
I
to
have
keep
to
it.
pay Yeah.
Okay,
That's an awkwardly written card. I think I've just misplayed.
several of them are.
Yeah. Okay. So I will tap these 2 to put a regeneration on my genie.
Cunning. Now, does that work how I think it works?
It does.
Very good.
Green regenerates. Green creature has regeneration. It's worded up.
Delightful. It makes more sense with the pre-alpha.
Yeah. I will swing with both of those.
Because they fly, I can do nothing that puts me at 10.
All right, your turn. I cannot pay for the blue during your upkeep because I paid a blue to cast the spell.
Enchantment requires blue upkeep paid during creature's controller's upkeep.
That's very awkward.
I see the caveat. That is awkward, but
Yeah.
that's an interesting twist that I don't think they've ever revisited, have they?
I don't think so. Yeah, you normally upkeep, I pay my upkeeps on my upkeep, but I don't have the mana to pay my upkeep on your upkeep.
Naturally.
So this goes away because I didn't pay the upkeep.
But
it
that's
goes
after
away
my
after
untap,
you're
so it's
untapped.
still tapped.
Yeah.
Very good. Oh my. I need to start playing some catch up. I think what I can do is I'm going to put a stone hands on my Arctic foxes.
Wow, okay.
So red for +1. Oh,
Yep.
which I think is better than the printed version.
Okay.
And then I'm going to swing at you for 3.
I'm gonna take it.
All right. You're at 15. I'm at 10.
Okay. Done.
Done.
With the 17, yeah, you definitely do it. See, like,
Merfolk. That taps for mana.
Oh, because it's a wizard.
Yeah. Yep.
That's delightful.
I think eventually that became Sea Scryer.
Makes sense.
Give me an investigation check here.
I guess it might be interesting to point out this is a multicolor card.
And that they
Predates
are,
Legends.
Yeah, this seems to be like.
it is, and they are complementary colors that hose the enemy color of those complementary colors.
Yep. So I'm going to attack again.
I can do nothing. That puts me at 7.
Your turn.
Thank you. Oh my. Okay. Wow, that is quite a good card. Oh my. Okay. I might be able to do something here. So I'm going to pay 1 green mana for a Hot Springs,
Okay.
which is going to enchant this forest so it provides an extra green mana when tapped. And then I am going to pay 2 mana for a copy enchantment
Okay.
to put a second Hot Springs on this forest.
Wow.
So I've got a little bit of ramp.
Yeah.
Wish I had something more to do with it. Okay. And then I am going to swing at you with my Arctic Foxes and Unicorn of the Adarkar Wastes.
All right. I don't think I'll block.
I will pay 1 for the Stone Hands, so you take 4.
All right.
And then you may go.
Down to 11. You're at 7?
7.
All right.
Trying to narrow the gap.
Yep. A mountain. Aha.
Oh dear.
Let's see. I will attack everything.
Oh my. Oh my. I've made another error, haven't I? Yes, I have. Well, what I think I'm going to be forced to do is take all 4.
Okay. That puts you at
3.
3. I will then tap all of my mana to incinerate you for 5.
Curses.
Because incinerate is an X spell.
If I had played better, I could have done something about that.
Okay.
Good game,
game.
sir.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
So a good hand with these is land that matches the cards in your hand.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. Or multiple colors of land, because you'll draw something. But not drawing the right color of land is terrible.
Do either of these have dual lands?
Yes.
Which combination of them has dual lands?
I think this one has a tundra.
May I look through this deck now that we're finished?
Sure, yeah. So yeah, Tundra was in Mirage, Menagerie.
Iron Star. So we've got the Lucky Charms in Ice Age. Red Elemental Blast, which made it through with a name change. Mammoths, Richard Garfield was a huge fan. Illusionary Mage. Illusionary Upkeep. So that is relevant for this.
Yep.
Tap to add 1 to the upkeep, not illusionary upkeep, cost of a creature. This required upkeep continues even after the illusionary mage has been destroyed.
I feel like that became Musician or something like that. It wasn't an often used card. It's a pretty neat ability.
Musician is the card that is a creature that gives other creatures an upkeep.
Okay, yep.
Disintegrate, remove from the game with no regeneration. Do not put in the graveyard. Return to deck when game is over. Vertigo, loses flying. So I think that one actually made it through unchanged. I may be wrong.
I think that would be Balduvian Shaman.
One card or draw one card. Turn one of your non-live enchantments, which does not require illusionary upkeep, into a blue enchantment, which requires illusionary. I was just reading about how for Ice Age, towards the end of development, the designers were instructed to ice it up because it didn't have enough of an icy feel to it.
They created snow-covered stuff.
And so I'm noticing here and there where I'm missing things from the cards that got added later on to make it more icy.
Yep.
And this would be the same as the original Mosquitoes.
Right, which became Will-o'-the-Wisp.
Yes.
Yavimaya and there's something else. There's something in Menagerie also.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Okay. And yet, one of the reasons that Ice Age was pushed off was because of all of the exact reprints.
Yep.
Now, this copy enchantment was something they played with for a lot of years and didn't actually get into a set until how many years later?
Was it Ravnica or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
A long time.
A long time. A long time. Monsoon, I recognize that. Illusionary Presence. Okay. That made it through the same. There's an Adar that we got a unicorn.
Yeah. Adar unicorn, I think.
Oh, and an Ice Storm.
Yeah.
Okay, we ended up with Hailstorm, which costs 1 more but punishes snow-covered lands, if I recall.
I think this became Thermokarst.
Thermokarst. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I was mistaken.
Greenstone
Excuse
Rain.
me.
Yep.
What
There is a
did I do?
Hailstorm card, but
Yes, I had them confused.
Yep.
That was a terrible card.
yeah.
Okay, so I see the changes they made to that. Oh, Charlie. They made him a walrus.
Yep. Did they spell it correct?
They did, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't just the Magic products that they misspelled it. In my research, he worked on a lot of things after Magic. Like in Major League Baseball Showdown, he was Charlie Bambino.
Wow.
And when he worked on Pokemon, he was Charlie Catachinu. Chinachu. Something like that I can't properly pronounce. Oh. So this, okay.
Based on a giant spider, became a woolly spider.
And I was just judging whether this was strictly better than Giant Spider.
Okay. And eventually War Mammoth became Woolly Mammoth, which you saw earlier.
Mm-hmm. Griffin with a funky spelling of the Carplucin Peaks, but consistent spelling to the type.
Yep.
In red, so that's basically a Rock of Courage's reprint.
Yeah.
Flight exactly as one would expect. Pine Tree Folk, which came through.
There's a Folk of the Pines. Might be that. It doesn't really quite match anything. But it's like Ironwood Tree Folk
So yeah,
and
what
Folk
was
of
your
the Pines.
card?
It's like in between or
Do you
something.
like
Yeah.
Power Sink, which looks relatively direct in regeneration and jump. Plague Rats, which came through the same also. Catapult. Sacrifice one creature. It is a mono artifact, so tap into to sacrifice one creature to do 3 points of damage to any target. Damage is considered colorless. All right.
So mono artifacts were still a thing.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's a little bit.
They started getting rid of those the beginning of October.
I guess it's a little bit of a rish off of Orcish Artillery, where they depict, combined with the giant that throws.
Oh, can't think of his name right now.
Same.
Yeah.
Let's because we're being recorded and
Yeah.
we're meant to look foolish. COP as one with even the same artwork.
Yep.
Artwork. Walking Wall. That became a thing. The Laces. That's interesting. There were a lot of interesting cycles that they pulled into Ice Age, including the Moxes. We discussed this yesterday briefly.
Yep.
Wall of Corpses. Fiend. Morphiend.
Yeah.
Fear. Consecrate Land. Which came through. Okay. The Wards. Anarchy. Anarchy became a thing, just which also hosed white. I don't remember if it's exactly the same. That is. May I look through the Mirage deck now?
Absolutely.
Oh, this is a joy. Thank you. Death Curse. Reduce opponent's life to the level of your life at the end of the turn, and it's a sorcery, so it may only be played on your turn.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. It's an interesting equaling card. Circle of Protection versus Sorcery and Enchantments. That's intriguing.
It's a powerful card because there aren't too many other types, right? There's creatures and
Instants.
and lands.
Yeah, because interrupts didn't deal damage
Yeah.
that I can think of any.
Lands didn't. Well, I guess lands could protect yourself from mana burn. That'd be bizarre.
Could you? And then the question would it be a batch of damage or one per land?
Especially if you spent the mana that you were trying to prevent the burn with to prevent the damage.
But you've spent the mana, so it doesn't burn.
So does that make it an illegal target?
I don't know. You're messing with me a little, man. Yeah, you get into a catch-22 there, because if you spend it, you don't burn, but if you don't spend it, you burn. But that's when you need to spend it. I can see why they didn't make this into a thing. But that's, yeah. So sorcery and enchantments. Let me see. Yeah, those are entirely different format. Circle of Protection versus Mundane Creatures.
I like that one.
From one of opponent's animals, humanoids, giants, wizards. Combat damage specifically, because wizards can also ping you.
Yep.
Okay. I expected this more to be, vanilla creatures. So it's interesting that it's more of an elephant graveyard where they just have a list of what matches that.
Yeah.
Good, because it would have hosed my Muraganda Petroglyphs deck. Dragon Rider.
That's a very bizarre card. It's like equipment, but way before equipment existed.
So, bands with dragons, is that pulling from the Legends bands with? Or is it saying that it's regular bands, but only with dragons?
Legends did exist when this was made, right? Legends started in 92.
The Legends Continue was the test name I have it written down. I don't recall exactly when it started.
I want to say it started with the Christmas party of '92, so right at the end of the year.
Yeah, when they all went skiing together and just spent like 2 days in the lodge just
Playing
brainstorming
Magic.
cards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then they went home and started working on it. So
right.
this,
So could we conjecture?
I would say they're not at all connected because
Okay.
Legends would have been developed after that point by the team in Canada.
And this is the
This is
this
the
is the
East Coast
earlier
people, so-
this is the earlier Mirage also.
Yeah, and this would have been before the East Coast people saw any of the Canadian stuff for proofreading before printing. So,
Oh, I was thinking they might have discussed it prior.
I suppose they could have
Because
discussed
the
it.
bands with the verbiage is what makes me think this probably works just like bands, but only with dragons, which might have been a precursor to what we saw in Legends.
Yeah, they could have both been inspired by the same conversation there. in
Pure
the-
conjecture.
Yeah,
Pure
yeah.
conjecture. It's interesting though. Okay, let me get into the rest of this. Oh, only with dragons that have more than 2 toughness. Okay. At least in printed Magic, there weren't a lot of dragons with below 2 toughness. I think from the first one would have been Nalothni Dragon, because even Dragon Wealth was a 2/3, if I recall.
Yeah,
Only one Dragon Rider misprinted. Amy banned, should be May banned, with any one dragon as a result of this ability. Flies when banded with flying dragons. Kills dragons receiving at least 1 point of damage. So it's also a Dragon Slayer.
yeah.
So that's incredibly flavorful.
It reminds me of Dragon Lance.
Yes. And you can see exactly what they're going for with this card. It's so
Right.
flavorful, but mechanically it's incredibly awkward,
Yeah.
and it seems like it's something that wouldn't come up much. I
Right.
guess I'll see how well it meshes with the rest of the cards. Oliphant, so there's some Tolkien inspiration,
Yep.
which they borrowed heavily from for the playtest and discussed actually producing Tolkien-themed regular Magic sets.
Okay.
And they bought the rights for a Tolkien TCG from Ice Crown, who
They
held
did,
the
yeah.
gaming rights.
Middle Earth.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so initially there was a conversation about turning it into a proper Magic deck master type game, but they rejected that idea and started working on an independent, which would have still been under the deck master title, but wouldn't have been a Magic set,
Okay.
and started developing that game. But there were creative differences, and they couldn't quite gel together. So after a couple of years, when they didn't have a decent project, they allowed the license to lapse back to Iron Crown Entertainment, and then Ice immediately put out the Middle Earth The Wizards.
Okay.
And I think from that, they had a positive relationship because they ended up using several of the Magic artists on it. Quentin Hoover has some, I believe Chris Rush is in there, and some of the other artists that they borrowed.
Yep.
But then they also allowed the license to lapse after a couple years. I don't know if they closed or what, and then it got picked up later on for the Lord of the Rings games that are, were produced with the movies and have nothing to do with this conversation.
Okay.
But there, even many, many years later, there was internal discussions at Wizards of the Coast about some kind of Tolkien-themed set, even if it wasn't licensed.
All right. They're fans.
Yeah, and they are. The new upcoming set is high fantasy, directly in that direction. So, and I have some of my own playtest cards that are directly ripped from Tolkien,
Okay.
which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I have an Old Man Willow, for example,
Wow.
from Spectral Chaos. You can guess where I got it from.
Okay. Yep. I can guess where they got it from too.
Sewer Rat. When attacking, rats may choose one of their blockers from all non-forced blocking ground creatures. Okay. Minor Wizard. So, yeah, this was pulled also directly from Alpha, where Minor Wizard was Prodigal Sorcerer.
It became Sagada Firewalker
Ah,
in Mirage.
had to twist it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Orc Balloon Patrol. I like that they, I wish that they would continue with the orcs a little bit, but I understand they
Yeah.
step on the toes of goblins
Goblins.
mechanically and
Yep.
flavorfully and whatnot.
Same with dwarves.
Oh, I actually wrote Mark Rosewater a note about that at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's related or not, but a while later he had in one of his columns about why they don't do dwarves as often because they step on toes mechanically,
Okay.
and they don't. They also want to keep magic distinct and typically, a little bit separated from stock fantasy.
Sure.
Winter Orb.
I think that's different from a typical winter.
All creatures have upkeep of 1 mana of their either color. Well, that's already different. If upkeep is not paid, creature does not untap. That's the same. Orcish Elite Infantry. I wonder if that's related to Fallen Empires.
Goblin Fleet Infantry.
Acts as two independent 1/1 creatures.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first tokens, I guess.
It kind of reminds me of the Stang Twin token.
Yeah.
You drop it and you get another one. Use counters and throw orc card on the graveyard. Okay, so
It's important to throw it.
it's essentially a sorcery that gives you 2 tokens.
Yes.
There were several words of power.
Yes.
Word of power, be gone. I really enjoy that. You can tell they had so much fun coming up with these concepts.
I bet they would shout them out when they played it.
Yeah. Be gone. I can just imagine them windmilling that. Be gone.
Yeah.
That's delightful. Return a creature from play to owner's hand. Creatures' enchantments are discarded. So that's just a twist on unsummon.
Yep.
Griffin. Flies. During upkeep, retrieve a griffin from your graveyard to your hand and return this griffin to your hand. During
Typical spelling.
upkeep, retrieve a griffin from your graveyard to your hand. So this would work in a griffin tribal deck.
Yes. Which was a thing in Mirage.
Well, am I mistaken, or
The other one I think was in the other deck.
okay? Because we had a griffin with an odd spelling.
Yeah.
If I'm okay.
Yep.
So that was the other deck. All right. Ogre has first strike when attacking. So incinerate as an X spell. We got Lava Burst.
Yep. Lava Burst.
Fear. Oh, okay. So this is, we have a little color swap for fear. Animals cannot block. Wizards cannot tap. Blocking humanoids have power and toughness reduced to 1 is what it looks like. And that's in black-red. So that's 3 separate, 3 entirely separate tribal hosing abilities on that card. Boar can go berserk and become a 3/2 creature. Boar then dies. And because of the phrasing of that, if you have him bigger to begin with, you could actually shrink him down to a 3/2.
Yeah.
If one so desired. That's not the templating.
It's also worded very awkward because he dies when you use the ability, or right after you use the ability. It doesn't say he dies at the end of the turn. So you activate it, and then he dies.
Do you have some insight on the can go berserk?
My best guess is it would be based on the Berserk card. So he would do something like that. And so this phrasing is what they intend for Berserk to mean.
Okay. I can get on board with that.
So yeah, it's like if you had Berserk as a keyword, and this is like reminder text for what it does.
So I'm almost wondering, because initially to me it sounded like plain language, where can go berserk is just flavor, and what it's then doing is describing by going berserk, it becomes bigger and then dies.
Yeah.
And it might not actually have any rules relevance.
Could be.
I like your idea better, though.
Yeah, because they had the card Berserk, and they're thinking, how could I use this card as an ability on other cards? Let's use this word. Like, it helps jog their memory for what it does. So.
Oh, I see.
So eventually, this it didn't get turned into a keyword, but everyone knew what it did.
Well, and it was a small group where everyone could, correct each other and keep track of what things do.
Argue it out.
Yeah, with a minimal rule book. He initially wanted all of the rules to be on the cards, even though they realized that wasn't going to be feasible.
Yep.
But he wanted to keep as much as possible. Each mountain in play does 1 damage. Choose when playing card. Okay, so that's a little bit of a better karma.
Yeah.
There we go. So that's a playtest dual land. Either 1 blue or 1 white mana. That is a delight to see. The dreaded cherubim genie and the awkward power word freeze.
Yep.
Damnation. No relation.
No relation. Yeah.
Apparently no relation to anything as far as I can think.
They use the card name and the color. That's about it.
Yeah. And still energy. Is this the same? Player can untap all of his creatures or creatures that have just been cast may be used to attack. If played during opponent's turn, play before attack is announced. Well, green-white.
Yeah.
And no, that's
It's
entirely.
not just green. Yeah.
Well, it's also an instant, and it also.
Huh.
It just untaps all of. Player can, so it's optional. Player can untap all of his creatures, or creatures that have just been cast may be used to attack. Okay. The name of it actually threw me off because I was thinking in the direction of Instill Energy, but the card is entirely different from Instill Energy.
Yeah. There was something called Vitalize, which was similar to that later on. That might be Visions or Weatherlight. It's later.
I recognize it.
Visions might make sense because Menagerie became Mirage and Visions both. So.
Yeah. Yes. Disease. Enchant creature receives -1/-1 permanent damage. That's some awkward phrasing. Permanent damage during upkeep. When enchanted creature dies, disease spread to an identical creature on same side if one exists.
Anti-tribal.
Anti-plague rats.
Yeah. That too. Yep.
Yeah. Because when it says an identical creature, I would take identical to mean the exact same creature.
Same card name.
Yeah.
Yep.
Power sync a little bit different. Weakness -2/-2 instead of -2/-1.
I think that became Enfeeblement.
With an additional cost. Yes.
Yeah.
Unholy Strength. Non-white creature.
Yep.
Is +2/+1. Cannot be played on a creature with Holy Strength. Non-cumulative. Well, that's a bit more flavorful, if less practical or elegant.
Yeah. That was a mountain, but I sold the mountain. So that's the first card I sold.
Okay.
And it might be here in the room. The person who owns it is around.
It seems more than likely.
Yeah.
Tranquility, all enchantments. Okay, so that is exactly the same, if I'm not mistaken. We have a white. There was a white. Oh. Yes. I was actually thinking of the Ice Age white.
Okay.
I don't remember if one made its way into Mirage or not. I want to say so, but nothing comes to mind.
Okay.
Any creature suffering damage from the white receives a permanent -1/-1. I wonder if that's cumulative. I would suspect so, but it's ambiguous. A different personal incarnation. You may act as your personal incarnation's guardian angel, losing 1 life for each damage prevented.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Talk about incredibly flavorful, horribly templated rules text. But you immediately understand what they mean.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't want to try and call in a judge to interpret it in a tournament. Also 4/5 instead of 6/6, and it's a spirit instead of an avatar. That's lovely. I wonder if I wonder how this differs from the Gamma playtest.
Yeah.
Because I believe I've seen one of the pre-alpha playtests that is a personal incarnation, which is a 6/6,
Okay.
but with a different ability, and I can't recall. We'd have to talk to Keith.
Yep.
But
I'd like to get the different versions of each card in chronological order so we can see the development.
And that's what I was
Yeah.
getting to, is I
Yeah.
was wondering the direction of causation on some of these decisions as the groups worked with each other and swapped ideas and whatnot.
Right.
The dreaded merfolk, the mana folk, which is, it's actually a wizard.
Yeah.
But so I don't know how they would have ruled this with Lord of Atlantis. I'm sure Richard would have said for you to figure it out on your own.
Yeah. Clearly it's a merfolk. It says merfolk right on it.
But clearly it's not, because the type line says wizard. But they didn't have
They
complex
didn't have
type lines.
subtypes, yeah. So
That actually took quite a while, like a surprising amount of time.
yeah.
But they, they were very cautious about complexity creep. Can Frenzy
Yep.
to block 2 attacking creatures, inflicting full damage on both. Minotaur then dies. And yeah, the phrasing reminds me of the Rampage, where I want to say that they're saying that Frenzy is just pure flavor, and then they're describing what Frenzy does
Okay.
and saying this is, I don't know.
Maybe Frenzy's a card. I'm not sure.
It might be. It might be. Unfortunately, a lot of these have been lost.
Yeah.
I would love to know which of those hypotheses is more correct, though. Maybe somewhere in between. Oh my. Healing salve for white +1 to gain 4 life, but not above 20.
Right. Can't go above 20.
That's intriguing. Holy Knight.
That's an interesting one.
Flanking.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this the first flanking one that we've seen so far?
Yes.
I believe that it is.
Yep.
Okay. And do you know if that works as expected?
Yeah, I think it does. Yep.
Okay. Unaffected by black sorcery or enchantment specifically. So, and we had mentioned specifically sorceries and enchantments earlier, so that might have been some kind of sub-theme.
Similar to protection from black, but not quite.
Cannot be blocked by black creatures. Okay. And we did end up with some 2/2 flanking guys, so this might have been the inspiration for something.
Yeah.
Jalfarin Crusader. I don't remember the card names, I'm afraid. This is rather impromptu. Holy Knight.
Let's see, it doesn't exactly match any of them, but there's.
Oh, I'm certain that it wouldn't.
Yeah. Maybe you'll recognize these pictures. The resolution isn't good on my image here.
Oh, well, those look like small white creatures with flanking. I think that one's a 2/2.
Femeref Knight, I think. There's a Zalafrin Crusader.
I can't tell if at this resolution if any of them to do anything to black,
Yeah.
but it might have changed significantly
Right.
because this is
And it's
quite early in
fairly
testing.
similar to Knight of the Holy Nimbus, which didn't come until later.
Mm-hmm. We had the clergy though.
Yeah, we got the clergy. Yeah.
One of my favorite terrible cards. Wall of Terror. Regenerates black. It specifies tapped. Is this an early example of reminder text?
Perhaps.
Or is it a rules caveat?
I'm not sure.
During this playtesting, when you regenerated, did the creatures tap?
I don't think so.
So-
Not that I'm aware of. But maybe this one did specifically.
So that might be additional rules text, but the parentheses make me think that it's a reminder. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I would love to examine more cards and see if we could figure out, because if this is reminder text, this would be a very, very early example.
Of regenerating creatures tapping. Yeah. Extremely early.
Extremely early.
Yeah.
Fire Blast. We got a Fire Blast. Does X +1 damage. Okay, so it's already strictly better than the expel from this deck.
I really like the fire
Which was
blast we
Incinerate.
received, sacrificing 2 mountains.
Oh, but here we go. Only red may be used is the caveat. So it's
Okay.
kind of like drain
Drain
life in
life.
that regard. Yeah. Which in a 5-color deck is a
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
But target cannot regenerate. So that's something.
Yeah.
That's something. Well, I guess that's it for these 2 decks. Thank you again so
Yeah,
much
sure.
for playing that with
Yeah.
me. It was an honor. And for then examining them afterwards.
Yeah. Yep.
Are we even still being recorded? I forgot about that.
Probably are. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure they'll tell us.
Yeah.